seasons. In America, we say 4 seasons. And in Chicago, there are 4 seasons called cold, very cold, very, very cold, and brutally cold. So those are the 4 seasons. And of course, there is spring and summer, but technically we have spring, summer, fall, and winter. And in the Indian subcontinent, there's 6 seasons. So the season preceding Hemanta is called Sharad, which in our Gaudiya Vaishnavism, there's a lot of description about Sharad. In fact, Srimad Bhagavatam has a description of autumn season. And Ramayana has a description of Hemanta season. Hema Anta, so it's that season which is generally December, January, because by February they say that spring appears, so it's called Vasanta. We have Vasanta Panchami coming up. That coming up means it comes up in February time. So Hemanta, literally it means the end of snow. It doesn't snow anymore, but you see snow-capped mountains and hillsides full of snow. So Hema Anta. Now, why is there a description of a season in the middle of Ramayana? Just like there is a description of a season in Srimad Bhagavatam. So it is said that every Mahakavya, every great poetry or every great Purana has to have the description of the season. And it is like one of the ornaments of that great work. And there are different messages from the season. So the writer, whether it is Vyasadeva, there's a description of some season in Mahabharata, there's a description of seasons in Bhagavatam, there's a description of the season in a particular season in Ramayana. And the writer conveys certain messages. So one obvious message is the description of beauty. Second, there is a social message to it. And there is a reason why these seasons are celebrated or appreciated. And then there is a philosophical message. Srila Prabhupada took the time to write an entire book on the rainy season and the autumn season called The Light of the Bhagavata. Excellent book. It's a book that is poetically conveying very profound philosophical truths. And so is this chapter, and it's important. So we'll go through verse by verse, and mostly verse by verse, and appreciate certain things that are there, particularly Govindaraja's, Sri Govindaraja's commentary. Now, during this Hemanta season comes the month called Margashirsha. In the Mahabharata Udyoga Parva, it says that this Hemanta season is very good season because there is an abundance of crops everywhere. And Vasanta is when harvest happens. So it's celebrated. Springtime is harvest time. So we have in North India, it's called Lodi, and we say Gudi Padwa or the New Year starts because of the harvest season. In Andhra Pradesh, I think it's called Ugadi. That Ugadi is actually a modified word that comes from Yuga Adi. Adi is the beginning and Yuga is the year. So the beginning of the year, the new year as we call it. And Manu says that 1 year on earthly planet is 1 day time for the heavenly realms. So 6 months cause the day and 6 months are the night of the heavenly residents. And the night time is called Dakshinayana and the daytime corresponds with Uttarayana. Therefore, we celebrate Makara Sankranti, which happens during the Hemanta season, a very auspicious time. And then it says that kings should take on expeditions during this time. Kshatriyas who want to fight, this is the best time to wage wars, because the weather is suitable. There is abundance of food and water that is available. So it's very bountiful. It's the most opportune time to wage a war. And guess what? The Mahabharata war was fought during Hemanta season. Etc. etc. So there is very many reasons about Hemanta. So we're going to start with 16th chapter, where Valmiki describes. So I'm going to read some Sanskrit and go verse by verse. I hope that's okay with you. Vasatah tasya tu sukham ragavasya mahatmanah sharad vyapaye hemanta ritu ishta pravartatah. Ramachandra was residing Vasatah tasya tu sukham. Ramachandra was very happily living in Pancavati there, Mahatmanaha, the great Ramachandra. Sharad Vyapaye, after the passing away of the Sharad or autumn season, Hemanta Ritu, the Hemanta season, Pravartataha, began, or it appeared. And the adjective used is Ishtaha. Ishtaha means that which is likable or pleasing. So the question is, different commentators talk on the word Ishtaha. So for who is it likable? So there are different levels of persons for who it's likable for the animals and birds. Because some after Sharad, apparently it's they call love is in the air. It's the mating season. For Ramachandra, it has been very pleasing, because this whole episode of staying in Panchavati is very pleasing. And it is pleasing in another way, because Hemanta Ritu is the time where all the crops, as I said, are in abundance, showing the gentle giving nature of Ramachandra. So it's very pleasing to him, because it resonates with, or it symbolizes his nature. And this Ishtaha means that it is very likable and pleasing for the Rakshasas. So the very word Ishtaha is an indicator that something to do with Rakshasas is going to happen here. So like this, Sri Ramachandra, Sita Devi and Lakshmana were living in Panchavati and having a great time. They were enjoying themselves like anything. So then the story moves to Sa Kadachit Prabhatayam Sharvayam Raghunandanaha Prayayava Abhishekartham Ramyam Godavarim Nadim. Sa Kadachit. Kadachit means on one particular day, sometime, on some day. Sa Kadachit. Sa is he, on a particular day, Prabhatayam, early in the morning, when the sun is just about to rise. We call it the Brahma Muhurta time. Sharvaryam Prabhatayam. So the night was ending and the day was arriving. So just Brahma Muhurta time. Raghunandana Abhishekartham Ramyam Godavarim Nadim. He left for taking a bath in the very beautiful or pleasing Godavari river. Now, as he was walking towards the Godavari river, Prabhuah Kalashahastah Tam Sitaya Saha Viryavan Prushto Anuvrajan Bhratah Saumitrim Idam Abravit. As Ramachandra was walking, behind him Sita Devi was walking, and Lakshmana was carrying a pot for taking water and pouring upon Ramachandra's head. uh, Lakshmana spoke this to Ramachandra. So this is words spoken in the Brahma Muhurta time, most uh, opportune time. So Lakshmana, so as I'm reading, you can see Lakshmana is going to glorify Hemanta season. And with each verse that he glorifies, there is Govindaraju gives us a little meaning that is hidden between the lines. Now, one of the things about poetry is, as I've said previously, you say one thing but you mean something else. This is what poetry is all about. Similarly, uh, all of spiritual subject matters, they are written, but they have hidden meanings. That is how it is supposed to be. So that even if someone repeats some words, so let's say Gayatri Mantra, the Gayatri is not given openly. But even if someone comes to know what the Gayatri is and they can repeat Om Bhur Tat Savitur Varenyam, whatever, but they don't know the meaning, there are all these purports and imports hidden in those lines that one may not know. So, this is why spiritual messages are all encoded. Here's another example. And great persons speak in codes apparently, because their sophistication of intelligence and the way they convey. In the Mahabharata, I can't remember the exact reference and exact words, but when the Pandavas were leaving and about to go and live in Khandava in the house made of shellac or wax, Vidura says something, okay, in very seeming ordinary words that no one else understands, but Yudhishthir Maharaj picks it up. Similarly, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during Rath Yatra in Jagannath Puri every day would recite a sonnet, two lines of a verse. And that sonnet sounded very, very mundane, like a girl crying for a boy. I cannot, when will I see your beautiful face? Something, something, that verse. And most people didn't even understand what it is. It just seemed like some song. But Rupa Goswami understood the inner meaning and wrote another sonnet or lines to match what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was singing. And he stuck that leaf to the roof of his hut and went for a bath. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would every day come meet Rupa Goswami, Haridas Thakur, after his visit to Jagannath Puri temple. And when he came to meet Rupa Goswami, he saw this leaf and saw the complete poem. And he was astounded. Oh, how did Rupa know what I was singing? Because there are very inner meanings to it. So, a lot said. So, Ayam sakalaha sampraptam priyo yah te priyam vadaha alankruta eva abhati yena samvatsaraha shubha. He says this season, uh, when I look at all the crops that are very beautifully full, resplendent with grains, I can tell that the year will be very good. It will be a fantastic year. Uh, and I think that the season will be very pleasing to you, Ramachandra, now that Hemanta season has come in, right? So he's saying this season will be very promising. This year will be very promising. We don't know what it means yet, but since we know the Ramayana ahead of time, we have an idea what's coming up. And he says, Niharaha Purusho Lokaha Prithvi Sasya Malini Jalani Anupabhogyani Shubhago Havyavahanaha. He says, these days, you see the dew or you see mist. We call it fog in English. So he says, is the dew is harsh to the body of people, for people's body. The earth is overlaid with crops. Prithvi Sasya Malini. And he says, Jalani Anupabhogyani. The water may be unenjoyable at this time. Why? Because water is cold. But he says, Subhago Havya Vahanaha. But fire is very pleasing. Generally, fire is displeasing because it burns. But in the pre-winter season, or Hemanta, fire is very pleasing. Anything warm is pleasing naturally. So then he says, this is where the smaller meanings begin. He says, Nava agrayanaha puja bhir abhyarchaha pitrudevataha krita agriyanakaha kale santo vigataha kalmashaha. He says, because Uttarayana is about to arrive, this is the perfect time to perform rituals. This is where the righteous people become free of any sinful conditions within them. Kale santihi vigataha kalmasha. Because it's the dawn of the new way of doing things. The sun is rising to the north. It's called Agrayana. Agrayana is a particular type of fire yajna that is done before harvesting. And this is where, so then he says, the villagers whose desires are at their peak. Why? Because they're about to harvest their crops very soon. Because they will have lot of mulch for the cows, because after you take out the grains, whatever is remaining is offered to the cows. And when cows eat this very nice ripe crops, then they give ample sweet tasteful milk. And he says the kings are making moves for furthering their kingdoms. So then he says, Sevamane drudham surya disham antaka sevam vihin tilaka ivastri na uttara dik prakashate. So he says the sun is right now in the southerly direction, in the area of Yamaraj. Antakah sevitam. The sun is technically the sun is with his son, Yamaraj. And then he moves in the northerly direction, right? And he says the northern direction is not as bright as a woman's face that does not have the mark of sindura on her forehead. So the whole reference point is that when a woman marks her forehead with tilaka or sindura, particularly he says, Vihina tilaka ivastri na uttara dik prakashate. A woman's face, it's being compared to a woman's face that is brightened by the mark of tilaka. And when it is not there, the face looks not as bright, just as the northern hemisphere is not bright by the strong sunlight. Then he says, Prakritaya himakoshaha adhyo dura suryo cha sampraptaha yatartha nama suvyaktam himavan girihi. And he says, by the very nature, the Himalayas are the repositories and depositories of snow. And presently, because they are distant from the sun, or the sun is distant from the Himalayas, the word Himalaya gets their true name, Hima-alaya, the abode of snow. And then he says, Atyanta sukha sanchara madhyane samprishtaha sukha divasaha subhaga adityaha chayaha salila durbhaga. And he says the midday sunlight, sun rays, when they touch one's body during this season, it seems very comfortable for walking here and there, and it is very pleasing. And he says during the day, the sun actually is very pleasing. And if you are standing in the shade of a tree or if you're in water, then it is very cold. When there are these descriptions of summer and winter seasons, Prabhupada in a purport says that a person should not be shy of cooking in the summer or taking a bath in the winter season. So Lakshmana is saying, he says, Salilaha Durbhaga, the waters are very cold, but one should not resist taking a bath. And this is what in the Bhagavad Gita Krishna means by uh, tolerating this moving of the seasons. Tam Stitikshasva Bharata. Then he says, Mridu Suryaha Saniharaha Patu Shitaha Samarutaha Shunya Aranya Himadhvastaha Divasa Bhanti Sampratam. He says, the overwhelmed by snow, the noontime when the sun is at its peak seems very soft, and the evenings are bitterly cold with mists and wintry breezes. And because of that, even the forests seem very bleak at this time. And then starts the different ways in which he's describing. So I'm going to skip a couple of verses as he's speaking about the Hemanta Rishi, Hemanta Ritu, not Rishi. So let me skip. Yeah. So he says, Prakritya Shitalah Sparsho Himavidha cha Sampraptam Pravati Paschimo Vayuhu Kale Dviguna Shitalaha. He says, Pravati Paschimo Vayu. There is breeze coming from the western side. And it is very cool to our sensation. But right now, that cool wafting air becomes very cold in the early hours because it is full of snow in it. Now, literally snow, actually it means very, very cold. The humidity is very high, so that makes it very cold. And so the Govindaraja says that he compares Ramachandra to the breeze that is flowing from the western side, that by nature is very cooling. So Sri Ramachandra, by his presence, whoever comes across Ramachandra in whatever way, they feel a sense of cooling from the burning of their heart, because problems are generally compared to a burning sensation. Samsara Davanala. Samsara Davana is the forest fire of material existence, and it requires a cool breeze. So Ramachandra's presence is like cool breeze. And because of this winter season, the air becomes even more cooling. So he says that, Govindaraja says that similarly, the presence or grace of Ramachandra is doubly cooled because of the prayer of great sages and divine personalities who are praying for the misery of the conditioned souls. Therefore, we ask devotees, please pray for me. Because by the prayer of devotees, by the prayer of sages, and who are always constantly thinking about the welfare of others, by their prayers, the mercy of Ramachandra becomes doubled, or the experience of it is doubled. And then he says, Bhashpa Chahnani Aranyani Yava Godhavam iti cha Shobhante Abhyudite Suryo Nadadbhi Kauncha sarase. Krauncha sarasehi. Krauncha is the bird, remember, and sarasas are herons, cranes. He says, covered with dew, the forest that is already covered with crops of barley and wheat. He says, Godhuma avatim cha shobhate. Godhuma is wheat. And although the crops are covered with dew, the heads where the wheat is on the crop, it is beaming forth. It is happy. And together with the calling of all these waterfowls or geese and cranes, at the rise of the sun is very pleasing. So this rising of the sun, it says, Abhyudite Suryehe. The rising of the sun is the rising of Ramachandra. And the dew that is on the leaves are the crop's way of crying tears of happiness. Bhashpa. The crops are crying tears of happiness to see the sun rise. So similarly, he says that the land which is full of sages, and all these sages have these Vedic practices, they are eager to receive the association of Ramachandra. And the birds that are calling out loudly when they see the sunrise is the great sages reciting Vedic mantras at the beginning of the day. And the godhuma, the wheat and barley, technically we call it barley, are the grains that are used in fire sacrifice. So then the crops, they're all waiting to offer themselves and be prepared to receive the Supreme Lord's presence. And then he says, Khajuraha pushpa akritabhihi shirobhihi purna tandulehi. Tandula is grains or rice. Shobhante kinchid alambaha shalyah kanaka prabha. Kanaka prabha. Prabha is the light or effulgence, and kanaka is gold. So he says the paddy crops, you've seen, if you ever seen rice, paddy, it's green. And then as the season, it's ready for harvest, it turns golden color. And so he says the paddy crops in the field are having this golden luster, and their heads are full with grain. And how do you know that they are bent a little down? So the crop is like this, like flowers of the date fruit or khajura. If you see the date plant, when it has these flowers and the fruit is about to come, the whole stalk bends down like that. So he says, the Govindaraja says that the crops are bent down by the weight of this grain, just like the heads of great sages bow down by the weight of their knowledge of the absolute truth. And so the hair of these great personalities is glowing in the first rays of the sun, because their heads are bent down, the head is shining. We've seen shiny heads. Just like, so Vidya Vinaya Sampanne, these great sages are eagerly awaiting your mercy, is what he's indirectly conveying. And then he says, Mayukhaihi Mayukhaihi Upa Sarpadbhihi Hima Nihara Samvrtaihi Duram Abhyuditaha Suryaha Shashanka Iva Lakshate. He says, though the sun rises, and sun has risen quite a while ago, and the beams of sunlight are spreading all over, yet because of the snow, the sun doesn't feel so hot or scorching. In fact, it's very cooling like the moon. Shashankaha iva lakshate. Suryaha Shashanka iva lakshate. So Ramachandra is actually coming in the Surya dynasty. Yet, by his presence, everybody who comes across Ramachandra feels his presence soothing like the full moon. Okay. Another meaning of Govindaraja is you have risen in this vast forest quite a while ago, right? It's not that you've just entered the forest, you've been living here for 10 to 12 years. And you have promised to kill the demons. Okay, and your radiance has increased everywhere like the midday sun. But the demons are still very active in their business. So this is the question of Lakshmana in one indirectly, that hey, it's been a long time. You have the ability to scorch these demons in the forest, but yet you're very sober, as if you're no threat to the demons. अग्राह्य वीर्यः पूर्वहणे मध्याह्ने सर्पशतः सुखः संरक्तः किंचिद आपाण्डुः आतपः शोभते क्षितौ. He says the heat of the warmth of the sun is not appreciable in the morning, but comfortable to touch at noon, since the reddish but a little pale sunshine is radiating on the earth. So Govindaraja explains that the warmth of the sun is Ramachandra's valor, which is right now subdued because of the snow. Because of the season, Ramachandra is enjoying the place. And he says, although Ramachandra's valor is unsurpassed, but because he's not really taken on this project of killing the demons, the power is not being known by the Rakshasas. And the snow represents the cold-hearted activities of the demons, such as Ravana and all of Ravana's followers. And he says, Avashyaha nipate kinchit praklin shadvalaha vananam shobhate bhumir nivishta taruna atapa. The pasturing grounds are all little moistened by dew, and the fields and forests are enjoying the sunlight. So he says the pasturing grounds represent the calm, peaceful, serene sages whose faces are wet by the droplets of tears that are coming out of the misery that the demons are putting them through. Okay, so this sunlight that is up there but not warm enough to melt, or not melt, to evaporate the dew from their faces, but soon it will happen. So as time progresses, the sun becomes stronger and stronger, and the dew is removed. And he says, let me ask, is this okay, or you want me to just summarize the chapter? What would you prefer? Verse by verse is okay, or am I losing you?
Verse by verse.
Okay, that's one voice. Others?
This is beautiful, Prabhu.
Verse by verse, Prabhu.
Okay,
Word by word, Prabhu. Thank you.
okay, got it.
Yes, Prabhu, this is wonderful.
And then he says, Sprushantu suvipulam Shitam udakam dviradah sukham atyanta trushito vanyaha pratisamharate karam. He says the cold the elephant takes water from the pond because it is very thirsty. But the water is so cold that the elephant is unable to tolerate that cold water, and immediately it throws it out from its trunk. Anyone has the experience where you may be thirsty and you put very cold water that has with ice in your mouth, and it is too cold to handle? So he says, similarly, the demigods, who by themselves uh, are happy to give to all the people, are withdrawing their mercy because of fear of Ravana. And then he says, Etehi samupasina vihaga jalacharinaha na avagahanti salilam apraglabha eva avahan. So etehi, so he says, you see all these geese, they are sitting on the shores of a lake, but they are jalacharinaha vihaga, but they are not entering the waters because it's too cold. Na avagahanti salilam, because it's too cold, they don't want to enter. So he says, this is very much like cowards, not cowherds, cowards who cannot fight and they're afraid to enter a battlefield. So Govindaraja says that the geese are compared to sages. Like they are staying near the river banks, but they're not able to fully enjoy the samadhi that comes from the full absorption of their hearts in you or in the Supreme, because they're afraid that when they get into samadhi and concentration, these rakshasas will come and eat them. So they are sort of distracted. They are not fully able to enjoy like the geese would enjoy in water, jalacharinaha. They are withholding themselves from fully engaging and entering samadhi. Another meaning, by saying that these are cowards who are not entering the water, entering a battlefield, Lakshmana is saying that Ramachandra, although you are an expert in fighting, no one can counter you in a battlefield. Yet somehow it seems that you are backing away from fighting with these demons. You're not jumping right into the battlefield. You're not challenging them. And he says, avashyaya tamo nadva nihara tapasa avritaha prasuptva iva lakshante vipushpa vanarajayaha. And he says, because of the snowy darkness, because everything is dark in winter season and everything is surrounded or enveloped in gloom by the mist, the flowered trees are not bringing forth their flowers, and the entire forest seems asleep. For us in Chicago, definitely you can see spring has not come yet, and when we walk every day, also the sunlight is a little warm and soothing. The trees don't have any leaves, there are no flowers, so the trees have withdrawn their ability to flower, and they seem like they are asleep. So he says that the leaves and the trees are crouched and they look like they're asleep. So then he says, there's another commentator called Maheshwara Tirtha who says that for those who are asleep, they are in double darkness. So when we are awake in the material world, but ignorant of the presence of the Supreme Lord and the relationship with the Supreme Lord, we are considered asleep even when we are awake. And what to speak of when we sleep? Then we are not even aware and in complete ignorance. So this is the double This is the double layer of ignorance. And in sleep, one crouches in that inner darkness. So Maheshwara Tirtha says that by this sleep, it is meant that the sages are withholding the full blooming of their bhakti. Bhashpa Sanchanna Salila Ruta Vigneya Sarasa Himardrata Valukaihi Tiraihi Sarito Bhanti Sampratam. It says now, Sampratam, right now, the rivers are imperceptible because their waters are overspread with dewdrops. If you see a lake or a river and there is fog over it, you cannot say that there is a body of water. You can't clearly see it. He said, but the birds that are perceptive, we know the birds are there, the geese are there. We can't see them, but we can only hear their sounds because they're making these calling sounds. So he says the rivers are only glistening from their moist sand banks. I can't tell that there is a river, but when I see the sun shining on the shore, I can say that there is a water body there. So Govindaraja says that the rivers are sages and they're all covered by the mist of fear of demons. And they are only perceptible by their groaning. The groaning is when someone is in fear and they are in pain, then they are groaning. That's how you know that the sages are there and they are eagerly waiting. And they are unable to come out of this misty condition. Just as the geese are very dependent on this water body. So they all cluster with each other and they stay on the banks of the river or the pond there. And then he says this Tushara Patanat. Tushara is snow. As the snow is falling, Patanat Chaiva Mrudutvat Bhaskarasya Shaityat Aga Agrastham Api Prayena Rasavat Jalam. He says because the snow is falling, further the sun is becoming very soft. It's not powerful enough. And the water deep down in the wells generally is very nice to drink. So the falling of the snow is representation of, this is Maheshwara Tirtha, it represents the demons who are descending on the sages. And the softness of the sun is this attitude of Ramachandra. I mean, Lakshmana is indirectly telling him that you're not taking the sage's pain so seriously, it seems like. Or I'm awaiting a time when you will take more seriously all the sages' suffering, their pain, their groaning and moaning, and they're afraid of the demons. And I'm awaiting you to take on these demons. This is why we have appeared. And 12 years have passed and you're enjoying the forests. And he says, Jara, we know what Jara means. Right? Jara, Jarjaritaihi, Patraihi, Shirna, Kesaraha Karanikaihi, Nala Shesha Hima Dhvasta, Nabhanti, Kamalakaraha. The lotus lakes are full of lotuses. And we can see that the lotuses are aging and the petals are withering. Okay. And because of this cold, although the lotuses are supposed to look very beautiful, they're looking withered and not so beautiful. So he says when the demons are destroying these lake-like hermitages, oases, the hermitages are oases for sages to come and discuss katha. So these demons are destroying these oases and all the residents of these oases who are becoming withered, aged and withered. And their very delicate lotus petal like austerities are being shattered by the demons. And whoever is remaining are like the stalks of lotuses. They're left behind when the lotus leaf or the lotus petal uh, starts falling off, then all that is remaining is the stalk. So those sages who have become victims of these sages, they're either died, killed, or eaten up. Only a few of them are remaining, and they don't seem decorated. They're like the stalks of the lotus flower that remains after the petals have fallen down. And then he takes Ramachandra's attention elsewhere, because if this is not inspiring you, let's put more inspiration in you. He says, Asmintu Purusha Vyagraha, the tiger-like person, Kale Dukha Samanvitaha, Tapascharati Dharmatma, Tattva Bhaktya Bharatah Pure. O Ramachandra, during this time, the tiger-like person Bharata was very virtuous. Imagine he must be performing what kind of austerities simply because of his love for you. Bhaktya, Tvat Bhaktya, your devotee Bharata is performing these austerities. Now the idea of invoking Bharata into the conversation is, Bharata is waiting. He had told Ramachandra, 14 years, exactly 13 years, 11 months, 364 days. And as soon as midnight happens and the sun rises, that 14 years are complete, I will need to see you here standing in front of me. Otherwise, that very morning, I will light a fire and kill myself. There is no hope for me. I will not wait, because I cannot bear this separation from you. So 12 some years have passed away, and Lakshmana wants to now speed up Ramachandra's pastimes so he can go back and be with Bharata, his dearmost devotee. And he says, Tyaktva rajyam namanam cha bhogamscha vividhan bahun tapasvi niyataharaha shete shite mahitale. Oh, this verse is just now kneading, like how we knead chapati dough. Lakshmana is kneading Ramachandra's heart, because Ramachandra cannot bear that his devotees, all the sages are also his devotees, he cannot bear that his devotees are in distress. And so his whole chapter of Lakshmana is to show Ramachandra that your devotees are in distress. Please do something. So he is describing Bharata, Tyaktva Rajyam cha Manam cha. He has given the whole kingdom away. He has ridiculed and kicked away any sense of royal respect in this position. Cha Bhogamscha, all sorts of sense enjoyment he has given. Vividhan Bahun, many varieties of enjoyments, Tyaktva, he has given away. But what is he doing? Tapasi. He is sitting there in performing great austerity. The greatest austerity that Bharata is performing, we should know, is that he is ruling the kingdom. Although he has no taste for it, he has no desire for it, he is ruling the kingdom simply because it is your order. And niyatahara, he is not eating anything. Shete, shite, mahitale. Shete means lying down. On mahitale, on the surface of the ground. He is not lying down on a bed, no mattress, nothing. He is a prince. And what is the condition of the ground? Shite. He is very cold. He's like, although he's a great prince, he's a royal personality, he is carrying on this extreme tapasya of ruling on your behalf and lying down on very cold ground. Then he says, So api velam imam nunam abhishekah artham udyatah vritah prakrutibhir nityam nityam prayati surayum nadim. He says, even Bharata must be getting up at this very early time of the day and must be proceeding towards the Sarayu river for a bath, surrounded by ministers. And I'm very sure that is what he is also doing. And Atyantah Sukham Samvruddham Sukumaro Himarditaha Katham tu Aparaha Ratreshu Sarayum Avagahate. He says, but how is it possible for Bharata, who is very delicate because he's been living like a prince, Sukumaro, very delicate. So, how can somebody who's brought up in such royal comfort and yet very delicate because of such comforts and luxury enter the cold water of Sarayu? Katham tu aparaha ratreshu Sarayum. How can he enter into this cold river of Sarayu? Can you imagine how difficult it must be? But is he going into this cold water, saying, I don't like it, I don't like it? No. Atyanta Sukha Samvriddha. He is very happy. Why? Because Bharata's focus is not on how cold the water is. His focus is on, I am doing this as a service for Ramachandra. And that is what is warming his heart, although his body is completely distressed in the cold. And he says, Padmapatre Kshanashyamaha Shriman Nirudaro Mahan. Now he's glorifying Bharata. Dharmagya Satyavadi cha Hri Nishedho Jitendriya Priyabhibhashi Madhuro Dirgabahu Arindamaha Santyajya Vividhan Bhogan Aryam Sarvatmana Ashritaha. He says this lotus petaled person, Bharata, Shyamaha, dark skinned, Shriman, very, very well endowed in beauty. Nirudaro. Nirudaro means, actually, literally, Nira Udara means has no waist. Now, you cannot have a person who has no waist. It means the waist is very, very narrow, like a lion. If you see a lion, he has a big head, large mane, powerful shoulders, and a very slender waist. And Mahan, very great person. Dharmagya, he knows the ins and outs of Dharma. Satyavadi, truthful. Cha, and Hri is very, very, Hri means shy. He has a certain countenance of being very shy. Nishedha Jitendriya. He has completely uh, controlled his senses, very self-restrained. Priya Abhibhashi. When he speaks, he melts the person's hearts. Madhuroha. Madhuro Priya. So his speech is sweet and very, very pleasing. Dirgabahu. Very, very long armed. Arindamaha. For his enemies, he's a very good challenge. Santyajya Vividhan Bhogan. So although he is a great prince, he has left everything. Aryam Sarvatmana Ashritaha. And he has completely taken shelter of you, O Ramachandra. Another meaning of Nirudaro, that his waist has become very slim, means he's fasting. He's not eating well. And so his stomach has concaved in. So you get the picture of Bharata. And he says, Jitaha Swarga Tava Bhrata Bharatena Mahatmana Vanastham api tapasye yah tvam anuvidhiyate. He says, although you are in the forest very, very far away from him, he is following you in his practice of austerities. And such a brother of yours, this great Bharata, has refused even the heaven. He says, I don't care. I don't need any heaven. So then, to add a little bit more spice into it, Lakshmana takes the topic to Kaikeyi. He says, Na Pitriam Anuvartante Matrukam Dvipada iti Khyato Loka Pravado Ayam Bharatena Anyatha Kritaha. He says, human beings, the general citizens, they may not deride our father's attitude. But when it comes to our mother's attitude, it is known that the local urban legend or the general understanding, it's called a maxim, is that Bharata may have taken his mother's attitude. So generally, it is said that a fortunate person is he or she, when he takes on the nature of the mother, when a son takes on the nature of the mother, the son is considered fortunate. When the daughter takes on the nature of the father, the daughter is considered fortunate. And generally, that is how it is. So Lakshmana continues, Bharta Dasharatho Yasya Sadhu cha Bharatasutah Katham Nusa Amba Kaikeyi Tadrushi Krura Darshini. He says, he's talking of Kaikeyi. Kaikeyi Tadrushi means certainly of a nature of Krura Darshini. Her Darshini is, her disposition is Krura, it's very cruel. And so Kaikeyi, whose husband is Dasharatha and whose son is this gentle Bharata, Sadhu cha Bharata, how can she, Kaikeyi, with this sort of cruel disposition, how is this possible? So Lakshmana spoke to Ramachandra like this, talking that Bharata, people may say that although he's performing austerity, he may have the mentality of Kaikeyi. So Valmiki then says, Iti evam Lakshmane Vakyam Snehat Vadati Dharmike Parivadam Jananyatam Asahan Raghavo Abravit. So Iti evam Lakshmane Vakyam Snehat Vadati Dharmike. Although Lakshmana is speaking out of friendship, with love and affection, and spoken in a way glorifying Bharata, but by putting down Kaikeyi a little bit. Generally, we find that we glorify one person by putting down another. That's just the nature of the world. If we want to glorify someone's nature, we may praise them by putting down someone else. Although Lakshmana is speaking like that, Ramachandra, he says, Tam asahan. Asahan. Sahan means to tolerate, asahan means not tolerating. Ramachandra could not tolerate anything being spoken of Kaikeyi. So Ramachandra says, Nate amba madhyama tata garhitavya kathanchana tam eva ikshvakum nathasya bharatasya katham kuru. He says, dear Lakshmana, in whatever way, please don't speak negatively about our mother. Madhyama, Amba Madhyama, the middle mother, Kaikeyi. And he says, but please go on talking about Bharata, which is, he's the king of Ikshvakus. I love to hear about Bharata. Tam eva Ikshvakunathasya Bharatasya katham kuru. Continue speaking about Bharata. I really want to hear. Then he says, निश्चिता एव ही मे बुद्धि वनवासे दृढ़व्रता भरत स्नेह संतप्ता बालिशी क्रियते पुनः. So he says, my mind actually is having so much peace and enjoyment in the forest, right? I really don't want to go away. But my heart is also calling me, yearning to be with Bharata and waiting to be united with him. So this problem or this conundrum, this dilemma is occurring in my heart again and again. On the one hand, I'm enjoying the forest life, no pressure of managing Ayodhya, no pressure of this one, that one, your company is there, Sita's company is there. The forest is fantastically enjoyable, no stress of any kind. But my heart is constantly thinking of Bharata and wants me to go back to Ayodhya. And he says, Samsmarami asya vakyani priyani madhurani cha. Samsmarami, I am constantly remembering asya vakyani. I am remembering this Bharata's words that were priyani, very loving, and madhurani, sweet. Hridayani amrutam kalpani manaha prahladani cha. And the words Bharata spoke with the love that he spoke about me, and the love with which he spoke about the responsibility he's taking, those words are, so here are all the adjectives for Bharata's words: Priyani, Madhurani, Hridyani, Amrita Kalpani, and Prahladani. Prahlada means they are making my heart overjoyed. Prahlada. We know Radharani is called, or Sita Devi is called Hladini. Prahladini, wherever in Sanskrit the prefix pra means very intense. Prahladini. My heart is tasting the nectar of Bharata's words. Hridayani Amrita Kalpani. And I'm constantly thinking. So what it means is, a little digression, when a devotee offers some sweet words of whatever their realization is to the Supreme Lord, his heart becomes very moved. What to speak of the great words that great devotees utter. I realized that I have gone over 10 o'clock and there are exactly 4 more verses. So let me quickly finish. I hope that's okay. And Ramachandra says, Kadahi aham sameshyami bharatena mahatmana shatrughnena cha viryena tvaya cha raghunandana. He says, Kadahi aham. Oh, I'm waiting for that day. When will such a day come that I am with Bharata, with Shatrughna, and you, oh my dear Lakshmana. Now, the word Sita is not necessarily said, but here is where it is already there. When he says I, it also means Sita is there. Now, from the overall understanding of Ramayana, Sita is not there for a very, very long time as well. So, in that sense, Sita is hidden. Now, a Sanskrit perspective, apparently the compound word which says Tvayacha Raghunandana includes Sita as well. It says, then the next verse, Iti evam vilapan tatra prapya Godavarim nadim chakre abhisheka kakutstha sanujah sahasitaya. Having spoken thus, Ramachandra, who was vilapan, he was worrying. This worrisome Ramachandra then performed his bathing ceremony. He took a bath in the Godavari river along with Sita and Lakshmana away. So when you go to Nashik in Pancavati, the Godavari is beautiful, and there is a place called Sita Kunda, Rama Kunda, and Lakshmana Kunda, little on the side. And when we went to Yatra, we actually took bath in Ramakund and Sita Kund. Then Tarpayitva ath shalilaihi taihi pitrun daivataani cha stuvanti sma aditam suryam devataha cha tatha anagha. Then Ramachandra offered oblations or offered water to Pitrun, his ancestors, the Devatan, the all the demigods, and Suryan, to the sun god. Likewise, this is the method of one beginning to perform one's daily activities. And then he says, Kritabhishekah sa Raja Ramah. Sara Raja Ramah. Sita Dvitiyah sa Lakshmanena. Krita Abhisheko tu Agaraja Putryaha. Rudraha sa Ninandaha. Rudrah sa Nandihi Bhagavan iva Ishaha. Ramachandra Krita Abhishekah, having performed his bath, Sa Rarajaha Ramaha. Ramachandra Raraja, he was shining after his bath. Sita Dvitiya, next Sita Devi performed her bathing ceremony, and Saha Lakshmanena, then Lakshmana. Krita Abhisheko tu Aga Rajaputra, having performed this bathing, they came out of the Godavari river shining like Rudrahasa Nandihi Bhagavan Iva Ishaha. Krutah Abhisheko tu Aga Rajaputrya. Aga Raja, the king of mountains. Who's that? Himavan. And Putrya, his daughter, Parvati. So Ramachandra, Lakshmana, and Ramachandra, Sita Devi, and Lakshmana came out of the river shining, resplendent, just like Lord Shiva, Parvati, and Nandi appear. And the comparison to Parvati, Shiva, and Nandi is to show us that the word used is Rudraha, that within Ramachandra's heart now arose this conviction, this sankalpa, that very soon I have to finish all the Rakshasas and quickly go back to Bharata. So that's the end of 16th chapter. I quickly want to tell you the first 3 verses. I'll just read, I'm not going to explain. So then when they came out of the river, they went to their ashram on the bank of Godavari river. And it says that ashramaha tam upagamya raghava saha lakshmana krutva pauvarhikam karma parnashalam upagatam. In their hermitage, they performed their morning duties of fire sacrifice that they would perform, and chanting of their mantras. And so it says there Ramachandra comfortably spent some days being adored and being in the company of great sages and hearing and narrating katha along with Sita and brother Lakshmana. And he was like the full moon along with, he was shining like the full moon. Then verse number 5, Valmiki now begins to say, Tada asinasya Ramasya. When Ramachandra was seated very nicely, Ramasya asinasya, Katha samsaktah chetasa. When he was sitting in his ashram with the sages or with Sita and Lakshmana and involved in some very nice discussions, Tam desham rakshasi kachid, one rakshasi appeared in that area. Ajagama, she arrived, yadrichaya, by some coincidence. Remember, the word yadrichaya indicates a new turn in the story. So as soon as Ramachandra took up the sankalpa that now I need to hasten my pastimes, enters Shurpanaka into the scene. Okay, I'm going to pause here because I'm so sorry I went way ahead. I lost track of time. Do you have any questions or comments? Any reflections from hearing the description of Hemanta season by Lakshmana, or any messages Lakshmana is giving? If it touched your heart in any way, something you want to share, please do.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So,
Hare Krishna.
so Prabhuji, I mean, the way you describe that Hemant season and the way you compared that Hemant season with what Lakshmana is saying to Lord Rama, and I mean that is very beautiful. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. Thank you,
Thank
Prabhu.
you, Naveen. It is Srila Govindaraja and Maheshwara Tirtha's description. I am only reading. I wish I knew
And
more, but I'm just reading. Yeah,
Prabhuji, one
these
question
sages.
I have actually. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm not that much intelligent, so just but still I want to ask this question. I mean, you said that after taking bath, Lord Ramchandra and Lakshmana chanted their mantra. I mean, Lord Ramchandra himself is Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, I mean, what is the need of chanting mantras?
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Why is he chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra?
Yes,
Lord Krishna, it's described in the Bhagavatam, every day he would take his bath and perform whatever is the Yuga Dharma, worshipping the deities, chanting mantras. Why?
yes,
Because Yad Yad Acharati Shrestha. Ramachandra is enacting the Leela of being a human being. And this is what a human being must do: wake up, shower, and worship the Supreme Lord.
yes. Understood, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam, all
Hare
glories to
Krishna,
Srila
Hare
Prabhupada.
Bol.
Prabhu, question is, um, how is it considered like reminding something to the Supreme Lord? Is it, I mean, is it considered as an offense, or because we learn that, reminding our spiritual master or guiding or sort of, mm, telling something to spiritual master is of an offense. How is this one okay then? Lakshmana telling something to Ram, saying, reminding about his duty.
Oh, there's no offense. There's no offense. Narada reminded Krishna of his pastimes, what he needs to do. He's enjoying frolicking in Brindavan with the gopis and gopas for 11 years and just not really concerned about anything. When Narada has to come and remind Krishna, I know you're having a lot of fun, but don't you have to go to Mathura to kill Kamsa? Krishna said, yes, tomorrow we'll go. So there is a relationship. And it is not that Ramachandra is forgetful or Krishna is forgetful. Because of his relationship, and whereas Lakshmana has not even once disrespectfully said anything, he's just describing the season. And although it's indirect, the intent is very genuine. The intent is, unless you wrap up killing the Rakshasas for which you have come, you won't be able to meet Bharata. There is no offense. Of course, the offense comes when one thinks, I know better than my guru, and from that point of view, then there is offense. So it's the intention, not just the words of it. Plus, we are students of Ishopanishad, and in Ishopanishad, a devotee is reminding the Lord, please remember, Kruto smara kritam smara, please remember what I have done. Please keep that in mind. Please take account of the devotional service that I have offered. Meaning, it is not reminding the Lord, it is to say to the Lord, I'm actually very, very fallen and insignificant. Not that someone has to remember me in any way. Because I'm very insignificant, I'm expressing that if you can remember some devotional service that I've offered, then I'd be very honored by your grace. So it's an expression of humility. Does that satisfy you, Prabhu?
Yes, yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Go ahead, Pranavallabha Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dhanavad Pranam Prabhu. Actually, a very nice class, Prabhu. You explained very nicely. I have a question from last week. So can I ask now?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. Actually, we discussed that Lakshmana knows the heart of Ramachandra and Sita and built the cottage very nicely to please the lordships. And my question is, how do we understand the heart of our superiors and guru and act accordingly to please them?
So we know the heart of the spiritual master in a general sort of way for sure, because that's what they are speaking from morning till night. Their life is, we get to see whenever we have a chance to see, their life is a complete demonstration of their affection for Krishna. The words that come out of their mouth are also the demonstration of their affection for Krishna. So anything that follows in that line or aligns with that is definitely pleasing for them. So we know in general what is pleasing, but specifically what might please or displease comes from a relationship of serving closely or intimately. Now, serving closely, obviously with some association, we get to understand. And for persons who don't have, for the for persons who don't have close contact, they may not know on such, but by hearing from the spiritual master, dharmasya tattvam nihitam guhayam, one can understand the movements of the heart of the spiritual master. And so speaking and working or acting in a way that is pleasing to them then connects with such a heart. Now without that sense of connection, one will not know. One can be very close to one's spiritual master physically, but not know the movement of their heart. So here Lakshmana is called Bhavagyena. Bhavagyena. He knows Ramachandra's mind. Why? Because he's seen, no, Ramachandra since his childhood. Now one may say, I don't have so much association with my spiritual master. Yeah, physically it may not be there, but if it is there, great. Otherwise, sound vibration will tell us what they like, what they don't like. So this bhavagyena comes from the connection of on connection of the heart. Then it is revealed. So there is a verse that we learn from the Upanishads. One who has implicit faith, yasya deve para bhakti, yatha deve tatha gurau, tasyete hi kathita hi arthan prakashante mahatmanah. Prakashante, it is revealed in the heart. One becomes bhavagya by yasya deve para bhakti, tatha deve tatha gurau. One who has implicit faith in one's guru and the deity that they worship, then it is revealed in the heart what they like, what they don't like. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
There's
have
a
one
text from. Yeah, go ahead.
Actually, you said Ramachandra wanted to hear more and more about the glorification of Bharata.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that is very nice too. And in my case, when devotees glorify other devotees, I don't feel happy about it. So, how to develop that too?
How to develop it?
I'm not.
Well, last week we talked about this verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's the first thing that's coming to my mind. शुश्रूषया श्रद्धानस्य वासुदेव कथा रुचि स्यात् महत् सेवया विप्राः पुण्यतीर्थ निषेवनात्. The antidote to the bitterness in the heart about the glorification of someone else is tasting the sweetness of Krishna, which cannot be without the devotees of Krishna. And that taste is awakened by Shushushaya Shraddhadhanasya, by faithful service to Mahat Sevaya Vipraha, the great Brahmanas. Vipras means very learned persons who have realizations. When we serve them, then little taste will awaken. We cannot glorify Krishna without glorifying devotees. It's not possible. What will we glorify Krishna? You're the supreme, you're the omnipresent, omniscient. Yeah, that's fine. But we glorify Krishna that, oh, how you appeared to save Prahlad Maharaj, or how you appeared in the womb of Uttara to protect Parikshit Maharaj, or how you interacted with Sudama. As soon as you talk about the Lord, it has to be with his activities or in his activities with his devotees. So Shushushaya means serving with faith and hearing from the spiritual masters. And it will awaken. It's a medicine. Medicine sometimes, in some cases, acts fast, in some cases, acts slow. But medicine will work when one takes the medicine with faith. If one takes the medicine thinking, it will not work for me, it will not work for me, then the medicine will not work. One is supposed to take medicine saying, I am in ailment and I'm taking this medicine and it will work because it is coming from a trusted doctor. It will come. I mean, it's already there. I know you. I like your statements of humility, but it will come. Okay? Prana Vallabha Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu.
So there's a question from Saumya, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Is it correct? Uddhava understood the heart of Krishna. Yeah. Similar to Rupa Goswami and Lakshmana. Absolutely. Yes. Next, Prabhu, when you said daughter receives father's quality, it's fortunate. My understanding is both male or female child gets most of their qualities or subtle body from the father, not the mother. Please correct me, Prabhu. Please ignore big. My question is not, if my question is not relevant, your classes. Well, both parents are required for the child to be born. And the child, at least from the Bhagavatam is described, is first from the father, the embryo or the seed is given to the mother, who acts like the bag or the vessel in which the body is developed. And the subtle body actually comes from their previous life. And there is a divine matching. But in that divine matching, although there are inherent qualities, generally because of the divine matching, natures are also matching. And for a fortunate soul per se, the mother's quality when it matches the son, and the daughter's or the father's quality when matches with the daughter is considered like a special qualification or a good match. And not that now if you notice that your child, your daughter doesn't have your qualities, or your son doesn't have your qualities, somehow it's an unfortunate condition. It's not like that. You're still very fortunate that you have a great service. Yet in the Shastra it's described that generally the daughter gets the father's qualities. Not gets, but the matching of qualities as such. Does that satisfy you, Hemnad Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah, here getting is not giving, but getting means matching.
Sure, thanks, Prabhu.
All right, should we pause? Done? Okay, thank you very much for joining us for yet another Ramayana class. I'm sorry if the verse reading, Sanskrit and explaining took a lot longer than I had anticipated. And if this model is not so okay, well, I'm okay changing it. Sometimes we'll go verse by verse by verse like we did today. And sometimes it's mostly summary. Definitely next week, we will read more verses because it is the Hasya Rasa section in Ramayana. And I am definitely up for Hasya Rasa. So we will indulge in the humor in Ramayana by discussing Surpanaka's interactions with Ramachandra and Lakshmana. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I wish all of you a wonderful week. Now in America, thank you. I'm assuming it is Kirti. So for those of us in America, our clocks are going to change. And for those of you in India, I think we're meeting at 8:30 in the night, which is what we're going to, that may change for you. Because here, whatever is 9 o'clock our time. So next week onwards, for all of you in India, we will be doing at 7:30 p.m. India time. For us, it will continue, Central time will be 9 a.m. Okay. Right now, I think it's from 8:30 to 9:30 technically. It'll go from 7:30 to 8:30. So only for people in India, the time will change. Those in America will be the same. Means same as what the clock says on a Saturday morning. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.